Welcome to the VerdeVUE Pod, an Austin FC podcast brought to you by KVUE, the ABC in Austin, Texas. I'm Paul Livigood, Senior Digital Sports Producer, and joining me as always, we got Jake Garcia and Brittany Flowers, and a little bit later, we will be joined by Austin FC forward Jon Gallagher. I have to start off the top. We've had a group text for probably 2 or 3 months since starting this podcast, never had a name for it, but there was an electric moment between the three of us right before, the day before Austin FC's game day, where we named our group text. What was it? It's PB&J LFG. So,
Wait. We got to start. First, you changed it to PB&J.
I did change it to PB.
Wow, incredible.
That's awesome.
I love it.
And what's the significance behind PB&J?
Peanut butter jelly time.
Our initials? Our first name initials. Okay,
yes.
Our first name initials.
Just so everyone knows, we got Paul, we got Brittany, we got Jake, PB&J.
Yes. Then Jake texts, in all caps, guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, something major is about to happen. And he said, our last name, first letter initials are LFG. Get out of town. Incredible stuff. And it's even in the same order. PB and J, LFG. It's incredible. It's amazing.
You know, it's so perfect because the way I feel about PB&J's is LFG. Let's freaking go.
It is a trio that is just meant to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I love it.
A trio meant to be.
But yeah,
so great. I'm really happy about it.
But yeah, so that was the day before Austin FC's home match. We do want to get to really quickly the game. We're recording this on Thursday. The game that just happened is Austin FC's 2-0 loss to Minnesota, and we will talk about that a little later. But we haven't recorded since before the home opener, so we want to get to all the home opener stuff first. So first home match, first professional sporting event in Austin's history. Austin FC takes on San Jose, and we were all there. Jake was anchoring. I was in the stadium covering for digital. Brittany was doing everything all day for all the shows, marching with the Los Verdes and everybody. I'll just throw it to you. Like, from my perspective, it was electric. I loved it. But I'll start with Brittany because she was kind of with the supporters and everything. Yeah,
can we all just like go around and just kind of walk the viewers through our day, like what our experience of taking in the home opener looked like, Brittany?
I like that idea.
First.
Okay, so I was at the stadium at 7 a.m. to be live from 8 to 10. Oh man, so yeah, we we kind of teased the TIFO that you saw. We talked to fans. They taught us chants. Like, it was pretty exciting to have fans there because they had been at Oscar Blues for like a pregame party that night. They were partying until after midnight because they wanted to stay up till game day together and then scream game day at midnight. They still showed up at like 9 a.m. to teach us chants. We talked to Roma, who has been to every game. In the middle of our interview, while I'm talking to Roma, they start chanting, Roma's been to every game. Roma is so cool. She actually was at the game yesterday. She went to the Minnesota game, so she has still been to every game. So then finally, after 10 a.m. when the show was over, I got to breathe for a minute and then went back out at 3 to be at the pregame party at Hop Squad. Then we interviewed there. It was loud. It was verde. It was awesome. Then we marched down. The march happened a little bit earlier than they had anticipated, and that is just because everybody was so excited. But the march was incredible because there were so many people a part of it. And then because they got there so early and the players weren't getting there until like 6:15, 6:20, they just stood outside of Q2 Stadium just chanting and screaming, and I was a part of that. And then the bus came with the players, and there was confetti, and it was incredible. And then finally I was off of work. There was a little bit of a panic during the 6 p.m. show because my camera wasn't working because we were in the crowd. So we used the camera that was across the street.
That was very
on top of the apartment. They could hear me, but they couldn't see me. So I was like, I can see Jake and Jeff can we use their video? And it worked. It was incredible stuff. And then of course, yeah, the game was amazing. My takeaways, like the highlights for me, were obviously the fans, the TIFO, how loud it was. And then one of my favorite parts was the dad squad, the guys getting to walk out with their kids day before Father's Day. It was really special, I thought.
All right, Jake, from your perspective.
I did not get there at 7 a.m. Preface that immediately. I mean, to be fair to myself, though, I had an early morning a few days ago when I did the daybreak newscast from Q2. I want to say that was Thursday, but all the days ended up just bleeding together, so I could be wrong on that. So on game day, I got there, I want to say around 3 or so. And yeah, as Brittany mentioned, Jeff Jones and I were perched up on top of the Copeland, which low key is kind of a really cool place to watch the game. Like you can't see every part of the field. There's some like nooks and crannies that are out of sight, but when that happens, you can just look right to the scoreboard and watch everything on the scoreboard. I have to imagine, and I'm not trying to get like anyone in trouble because it helped us out in a big way, but I got to imagine either by some point this season or before next season starts, they're going to make some changes to that, because like, I don't think somehow there were people on top of the Copeland who didn't live in the Copeland and who weren't us either. Like I was talking to some guy and who was standing right next to me. Not only did he was like, hey man, want some vodka? Which I declined because I was on the clock.
Sure.
Of course.
But I was like, you live here? And I meant like, do you live in the Copeland? And he's like, yeah, I just moved to Austin from San Antonio. I live down south. So I'm assuming he lives in South Austin. I have no idea how he got on top of the roof, because like there was a security guard in the garage not letting anyone who didn't live there aside from KVUE up top. So like my point is, I gotta imagine like Austin FC is gonna say something to the apartment complex and be like, hey, like we'd really appreciate if only people who are paying ticket holders got to watch the game, because there were probably like 50 to 60 people on top of that garage watching the game.
Oh my God. Wow. But I feel like the Copeland will be like, no, we were here first. And also it's a selling point when we're trying to get people to buy our thousands and thousands of dollars a month apartments.
Yes. Well, and it's probably even further incentive for them to jack up their apartment rent on a monthly basis and be like, hey, we're the official apartment of watching Austin FC without buying tickets
from across the street.
Yeah. But so like, again, I didn't get like a crystal clear view of the game, but I feel like I have a general idea of what happened. My favorite part was the fact that like we could hear every chant the fans were doing from on top of the apartment complex. And obviously Brad Stuber had an incredible game. And this is a recycled joke alert. Well, 2 recycled jokes coming your way right now. But the first is there were 90 minutes of soccer being played, and I feel like the Stu chant was said about 90 times. Secondly, they need to rename Q2 Stadium Q Stu Stadium.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So we had a great time with that joke on air. I think we talked about it for like 3 minutes. But just thought the podcast audience would want to know that. So we anchored our 5, 6, and 10 o'clock show from on top. Our first hit in the 10 was what happened during stoppage time. So we're like, hey, it's 0-0 right now. That could change. Let's talk about the atmosphere first. When they came back to us in what we call the B block in the biz, the game was over. So we were able to show some highlights. It was a fun night for sure. Had a great view of the team rolling up to the stadium in the bus, being showered with confetti and chants and music and all that good stuff. So yeah, it was a great time. And I think Kirk Bowles of the Austin American Statesman said it really well. He was like, tonight is the night that Austin grew up. And he's right, because like for so long, people have been talking about the untapped professional sports potential that exists in this city. And now it's here. Like Austin has been a market that has needed a professional sports team for a while. Now we have it. And it was a beautiful sight.
Before I get to my experience, I did want to quickly you mentioned it very briefly, but I wanted to shout out like the producers and everyone who put together the 10 o'clock show, because the open with you guys and everything, it looked so cool and it just flowed perfectly. I like props to them for the job that they did.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had our A team in that night for producing, and thank God we did, because it looked so good. And shout out to Mike Marute, shout out to Darrenisha Heron, who were our news reporters that night. Obviously Jeff Jones was there, and Emily John Greco was there too. So yeah, great stuff.
So from my perspective, I got there probably about the same time you did, around 3 or 4. And went and got my, press stuff and went up to the press box, did all my stuff. And then I went to go take pictures. I'm surprised I didn't see you, Brittany, because I was taking pictures on the, I don't know what we're calling it, that street that y'all marched on and the bus came down. But while Los Verdes was like doing all the chants on the street, but before the bus came, you know what I mean? Like in that little party time, it was probably.
You're surprised, did you see what I was wearing? The same thing everybody else was wearing.
Yeah, you did joke about it in the earlier shows, like, oh, it's like a Where's Waldo situation.
It was.
So yeah, but I mean, like, I would have figured that I would see either you or Sanchez at some point. But I went and took photos, and then got ready in the press box, and it was really cool. Like that was the first sporting event that I had been able to cover live since COVID had started. So like for me, that was really cool, because me, Jake, Emily, Jeff, the 4 of us travel together to every Texas Longhorns, everything. And so like COVID has kind of messed that up, but that was cool for me in order to get to do that for the first time. And then game starts, and we can transition into this now. So the players get here, and one of the tweets they had was about what they were wearing, their fashion sense, drip, as they would say. And we had a guest on one of our old podcasts that lied to us.
Straight liar.
He straight lied to our faces. Sebastian Berhalter said that he did not wear tight pants.
Wait, now that I'm remembering, he might not have lied. Because Jake, was your question skinny jeans? Okay, so these weren't jeans.
I was gonna bring this up. Yeah.
Okay.
They were tight
I apologize,
pants.
Sebastian Berhalter. My bad.
They were not skinny jeans. And
forgiven.
Like, do they kind of accomplish the same idea? Maybe, but like he had some style with it. Like you could see his ankle.
Ooh, we love to see an ankle. Let's see. Julio Cascante, the button down all the way, except I said minus points because you could see a nipple. So I subtracted points. Cecilio, maybe one of my
cowboy hat. Oh, I loved it.
Oh man, I loved it. Loved it so much. John, in his all black.
Yeah.
In his all black.
Yeah, he was
an all black
sharp.
Look. Always.
Sharp.
Always.
And then,
Brad Stuver had a pretty sweet suit on too. So much so that when I was talking about suits, I want to say it was Sunday, Emily texted Brad Stuver's wife and was like, hey, where did Brad get his suit?
Estilo, it's local.
Yeah, Estilo.
Oh, Estilo. Is that better?
Interesting.
I'll work on it. Listen, I've been doing Duolingo. I'm working on it.
Hey,
that's not even a joke.
How did you know where he got the suit?
Because they tagged the stuff. They tagged it. Yeah.
God, you can't get anything past you.
Not many things.
And then the one that probably everyone noticed was Matthew McConaughey's suit, which was fire or Verde.
Wow.
It was nice.
Wow.
Came out styling and profiling. So he walks out to lead the chant before the game. That was probably a very viral moment for every social media channel that shared it, because everything Matthew McConaughey does just blows up. I heard the crowd started doing the chant before he got there, like a little bit earlier. And then he like came out and like did it like orchestrated. I was like, oh, I got to come get video of this. And like, so I walked out of the press box and went to the little section on the side where you can, you're out in the stadium, but you can kind of see over the top. And I was sitting there and like listening to like, he looked like a little tiny person, little tiny ant person on the field, but just like the roar of like, Listos, I was like, it gave me chills. I was like, this is so cool. And like, I don't know, just from the very jump, like that kind of like set the tone. And I loved it. I don't know, like Brittany, you were probably, you were in that section, weren't you?
No, I'm actually across from them. So I'm
so
looking at them. So I'm in 124.
Okay.
But I could hear them. And so in my section, there was like a group of people behind me that knew the chants too. But I think it would be helpful if people looked up the chants, because I think the other people wanted to be a part of it. So I was trying to be a leader in my group of like getting them to know the lyrics. I was pretty loud, honestly, but I was chanting about as long as they were chanting. Sometimes it was more of a whisper. Other times it was like screaming with the group around me. I think people should look up the chants so that they can know. For
everyone that needs to learn the chants, courtesy Brittany, a la a Austin, we have the chants on our YouTube channel, so you can go look that up.
Yeah.
And they were very gracious enough to share their video with us. So we have it on there if you go look it up and you can learn the chants. But yeah, like that's something that everyone will obviously, over time, I'm sure they'll learn it. Like if you can get ahead of the 8 ball and learn them. And then very shortly after that, another very cool moment, the City of Legends TIFO, which I thought was incredible.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was so beautiful. I mean, it was months of planning. It was almost 300 volunteers. It took about 100 people to actually rig it up. It is the fans that actually put it onto the net and hoist it up, rig it up. It was up for 2 minutes and 8 seconds. I timed it from the minute that they started pulling it up to the minute to the second that it went down. 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Months and months of work. Featured obviously Austin Legends. The whole idea behind it is welcoming Austin FC as a legend and into this city of legends, and welcoming Austin to soccer, and soccer to Austin. They worked with a local muralist, Ulawang, and you've seen his stuff like under that North Lamar Bridge, but he has Something Cool Studios. Such a great guy. But he would go in, he would put the outline, they would grid it out, and it was basically a paint by number. He would code the paint that people would use in specific areas, and then people would go in and paint it, and he would go back in and add kind of like the detail. And it was, I mean, it really was such a special moment, all this hard work. But what happens to it now?
I was gonna bring that up. All right, well, so this made me really sad, because you told me on Wednesday that typically after the TIFOs are raised, that they're burned. So that,
can you believe that?
So that other teams don't steal them. You can't burn this one though. Like,
so they're not.
This is an artifact.
Yeah, I've asked. They are looking for a business that has a wall that is 120 feet by 60 feet to display at least for a while. So that's something that they're looking into. So if you have a business in Austin that has a wall that large, but yeah, I mean, it was so amazing. It really was. It deserves to be put in a museum. It would be really cool if like someplace would take it and at least have it up for like a year, so that people could go and see the detail of it and just how large it was. Like when I went one day, one girl was painting McConaughey's face, which was larger than she was as she sat there and like painted it. Like it's enormous. You don't realize just the scale. About 100 feet by 60 feet. It's so huge, and it deserves to be displayed.
If you have a wall that big, reach out.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, this reminds me of a story that I did last summer. and I won't get into the details, but there was essentially a Willie Wells mural that was about that size hanging from a house in South Austin, and the old owners of the house eventually moved out, and so that like banner of him is now in some shed at what's the sandlot called, like the famous sandlot in really far South Austin. Do either you know? I think it's like a long sword or something like that. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I really hope that it's able to be displayed somewhere, because that would be a shame if it winds up in a shed like this one that I'm talking about did. And so really quick, like the supporters don't get paid for that. That's just out of the goodness of their hearts and a reflection of their fandom.
It truly is. And they are like, it runs deep. You know, we're a new team, but they have been, you know, planning this stuff for years. I mean, they've been practicing the chants for literally years. They were posting videos. These fans are true, and they love the sport, and they love this team. And they're not getting paid. They're spending hours and hours inside a warehouse on their hands and knees, literally just painting. It's amazing. And like the group is amazing.
There's a new one for every home match, right? At least that's what Mike Craven said of the Austin American-Statesman.
So not to that scale. I'm sure there will be, because technically like a TIFO is kind of a banner display. So there will be smaller ones, but there will be other large ones for maybe some bigger home matches. I doubt that they're going to have an enormous one for this Sunday, considering it's coming right after the
big one.
What you saw on Saturday. But I'm sure there will be something.
Yeah, cool. Let's move forward to the game actually really quickly. So the home opener, they scoreless draw 0-0. There was a couple opportunities for both teams throughout the game. Just couldn't find the back of the net. But in this match, once again, I will shout it to the rooftops, Brad Stuber for president, because that dude is playing out of his mind. In the last like 10 minutes, he had 4 incredible saves. There was one off of a header that he hit with one hand. One that was like kind of the one that I thought it was going to go top shed, and he like sold out and hit it into the corner. I think that was like in the 80s. It was either the 82nd or 88th minute was that diving one. But anyway, like he has been absolutely Stonewall Stuber all year long.
I think time must move slower for him or something, because so we are right behind that goal that he was making all these saves in the last 10 minutes. It happens so quickly, and I'm just about having a heart attack because you can see the buildup, and I'm like, oh gosh, here it happens. My watch is telling me to breathe, and I'm like, no watch, I can't breathe right now. And then every time I'm like grabbing Topher's shoulder, like squeezing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this man right here. But it happens so fast, and his reflexes, I think that maybe athletes, it is, I mean, like when I watch baseball, if I ever watch baseball, I don't understand how they're hitting these pitches. I think time must just move a little bit slower for these people. It's incredible.
I can't explain it.
Yeah, I watch a lot of baseball, and I don't know how hitters ever make contact. But like the funny thing is, it's surprising kind of to everyone except Stuber.
Yeah.
Like the expectations that everyone had of him when he was brought on weren't high. Like he had never truly been a starting goalkeeper. He was always a backup or not even on the active roster. But it's just your classic awesome story of getting an opportunity and seizing an opportunity. And that's what he's done. And like he's up there now with Diego Fagundes as like a fan favorite, because
definitely
he's been so active in the community. He's been like such a down-to-earth human being that like people just find him incredibly relatable and incredibly easy to root for. And like when you have that much success, it's like the Stuber train cannot be stopped.
And I think maybe the surprise probably for people who are watching is due to they're not seeing the work that he's putting in practice. So it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. It's not like he wished upon a star. Please let me be an insanely amazing goalkeeper. He has worked at it, and he's just like truly earned it. We should mention that he is playing for Pride. I can't remember what the organization is that he's raising money for, but I know that it's like $5 for every, thank you, Paul, $5 for every save, $50 for a shutout goes to something that has to do with LGBTQIA.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up real quick.
But yeah, we should mention that.
It is for playing for Pride. And it is, I think, yeah, you got it right. It's $50 for a shutout. And yeah, and
$5 for a save.
$5 per save. So it's like the first match that he did it, he made 9 saves, which is a career high. Crazy, no big deal. So $45 there. Match 2, he gets a shutout and does another career high, 9 saves again. So there's $95. And so it's just like, but yeah, that's a great cause. And then I wanted to also shout out the story that Emily did with Keeper Pit, because other Brad and his wife, they raised money to donate to Brad Stuber's laundry project foundation he's bringing Austin, which is another really cool thing that he's doing. He talked with us about that on his episode of the podcast, that he was doing that here. So really cool moment there. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to talk about the game before we moved on to international soccer real quick, or we good with that?
I think that the players and Josh Wolf were rightfully disappointed that they didn't parlay the excitement and the energy that the crowd brought into a win. Mm-hmm. And I think there was definitely a win there for the taking. Their expected goals, I think, were almost double that of San Jose. So kind of a bummer that they weren't able to usher in the Q2 era with a win. I think it would have been really helpful, because as we see, they were pretty much walking zombies on the road on Wednesday against Minnesota. And now you turn around and play Columbus, which is a wagon of a team. Yeah. So like would have been really helpful for them to get a win in the home opener.
I think that Saturday game, I think maybe everybody wanted to be the first one to score at Q2.
Yeah. Josh actually said that.
They maybe got, is that what he said? Yeah. I feel like maybe they were a little too excited. There was an extra pass in there. That was a better angle, more likely to score, that I think that they were missing out on.
You hit the nail on the head. That was kind of his takeaways. Like there were moments where there could have been a one more or something, but you could tell that whoever had the ball, that person wanted to be the guy that scored the first home goal. And so granted, some of them were good looks, but there are opportunities in soccer where someone else can have a better look than the one you have right now. So that's just,
I hate to tell them, but Kristen Press already has that distinction. So
exactly.
Chill out.
Exactly.
Let's take that notch couple.
And look what it gets you too, because now there's a decent chance that Columbus.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Columbus scores the first goal.
I mean, there's a.
But they
chance.
didn't, like you said. Kristen Press did Q2.
There you go. So speaking of international soccer, just recently, I want to say, was it yesterday or 2 days ago that they announced? Yesterday. So it was yesterday, or so what? That would be on Wednesday. They announced the final Olympic roster. So I'm just going to throw it to Brittany because she knows more about this team than both of us. So go for it.
Yeah. So obviously the decision, it had to have been the hardest decision for the 18 that has ever existed, because this team obviously is rock solid. No matter what 18 that Coach Blatko chose, people were going to be disappointed. People were going to be mad about people that were left out, or mad about people that were put on the team. But I think that the decision was very much based on experience. I mean, if you look at
that's what I got out
forwards
of it.
That were picked, Carly Lloyd she will be 39 when they go. Then you have Megan Rapinoe, who's 36.
35, 36.
I think she's 36. I think the youngest is 32 when it comes to our forwards. for me, I was extremely excited to see the Mewis sisters. Christy Mewis has become up there for me when it comes to favorite players. It's a heck of a squad, I'll tell you that much. Like there were a couple people that I was like, dang, Midge Purse was left out, not even as an alternate, which I thought she would have made a great alternate considering you can put her as a forward, you can put her as a defender, she can go all over the place. And I thought she had been playing really, really well in the summer series. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great team. No matter, I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to not be. It's hard to not be. I mean, what were you gonna say?
Was Midge Purse, would you say, the biggest surprise person who was left off?
I think, yeah, from what I've seen, I think that that was the biggest shocker, was people like, dang, because I don't know if she deserved it, but she definitely could have easily been one of the 18. I mean, you see Julie Ertz and Tobin Heath, who, I mean, come on, they deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But they're also coming off of injuries. They're not back yet. Julie Ertz hurt her knee. Tobin Heath, I believe, ankle. But Tobin was training with the team here in Texas for the summer series. And they have the send-off series before they go. So a couple more games to really get the squad together.
Yeah.
Would you say that those injured players, Tobin Heath and Julie Ertz, were on the bubble, or was there anyone else on the bubble that like got the nod ahead of Midge Purse?
I don't know. I feel like it's Julie Ertz and Tobin Heath. I feel like they would never be on the bubble.
Yeah.
And maybe if their injuries were a little bit
more serious
closer to the Olympics, then maybe. But I mean, they're too good. They're too good. You don't leave Julie Ertz and Tobin Heath in the United States as you head to Tokyo for the Olympics. That would just be crazy. I think maybe we could have one person that, and I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want people to yell at me, but maybe one person we could have left off is Emily Sonnet and maybe put Midge Purse there. Emily Sonnet's great. She's very good, but I think that her summer series performance was a little less than maybe Midge Purse's, but it doesn't matter.
Fair.
We got a great team. Best team in the world.
Looking at the first-time Olympians on the roster, the Mewis sisters, Sonnet, as you mentioned, Tierna Davidson, Adriana French, the goalkeeper, Abby Dahlkemper, who is a fan of the program, and World Cup legend Rose Lavelle.
I love Rose Lavelle. That's my favorite player right there.
There you go.
Awesome.
So pivoting from the United States team, we have one local, #localize. We have a UT soccer player that is also going to Tokyo, but not for United States, but for her home country of Canada, and that is Julia Grosso. So congrats to her. When I was writing this, I had no idea until you and Brittany, you mentioned it. And then so I did all the research and wrote it up for KVUE, and I was like, oh wow, so she actually competed in the World Cup for the last go for Canada. This is her first Olympics, but that's just got to be so cool to be in college and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Tokyo for the summer and like go play for my country. But you know, that's just, I don't know, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, she's 20. She's 20 years old.
What were you doing when you were 20?
Things I shouldn't have been doing, I'll tell you that much.
Oh man. But yeah, so Jake, did you want to add on to that?
No, he doesn't.
Not with what I was doing when I was 20.
No.
Same thing I'm doing now, and we'll leave it at that. But like this is kind of like the Olympic mold, like across countries, is that like these are really, really young athletes. You're not seeing a lot of, I mean, I guess aside from the U.S. women's national team forward group, but they're outliers. Like the Olympics historically, young athletes participate in them. And like I'm not necessarily surprised, because a lot of the times, I guess more so in men's sports than in women's sports, but you get I guess like a hesitancy from some of like the star male athletes who are, you know, halfway through their season or just coming off their season, and they're like, like my professional career is kind of more important than my Olympics career. And the reason I say it's different between men's and women's is because like for women's sports, there's not the, and this is terrible, but there's not like the same infrastructure built around it to where they consider like their professional careers more important than their Olympic careers. Because this is the most important thing. So I'd like for that to change maybe, because like, I mean, the Olympics is cool, but you're not getting paid a whole lot, if anything, for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
So before we talk to Jon, I quickly want to get into the game that just happened. We said we would talk about it. So this Minnesota match 2-0, they just played yesterday on Wednesday. It did not go very well. From the jump, I mean, you were already missing Matt Beasler. He wasn't in the starting lineup. Ring was in the starting lineup initially, and then 20 minutes later, they're like, oh, nope, sorry, he's not playing actually. Josh Wolf said that he got banged up on Tuesday, and then, but he was still going to try to give it a go, and then just in pregame, he just wasn't feeling right, so he was a late scratch. But immediately off the top, you're missing two of your biggest leaders on the team, essentially, which is going to be tough in any circumstance. So Cecilio had the captain's armband originally. And then minutes into the game, Nick Lima, full sprint, obvious, like pulled a hammy, did something to his hamstring. He gimped up immediately, was holding on to it, got replaced, like 10 minutes in. So now your backline's completely, shot, for lack of a better word, by injuries. And then I think in the 10th minute and 18th minute, boom, 2-0 down already. And then Jake, you even mentioned it at halftime. They subbed out Cecilio right at the very beginning of the second half, and that was like that's kind of the metaphorical white flag almost. Yep. I mean, gave the captain's armband to Stuver, and then had others. But I mean, there was just they got down really quick, really early. The injuries were there, and so it all around it was not a good match for the Verde and Black.
It kind of felt to me like Josh Wolf had put all of his chips in on the home opener and was like, we gotta win this game. Like you didn't see a lot of substitutions in that one. And the substitutions that did happen were really late in the game.
Really, really late.
So it's kind of like, hey, like we gotta win this game because regardless, we're gonna be tired on Wednesday. Let's try and get the result here and then hold on for dear life. And then you saw that plan just unraveled quickly with all the injuries. Nick Lima going down, obviously, is a key piece to that back line of defense. Alex Ring, we've sung his praises and said how he's the most important player on the team. And so it got, and then you combine that with like the fact that this starting lineup already looked a lot different than the previous ones we had seen. Yeah. And a lot of people were talking, they're like, why, or they were saying that this is going to be a very different looking starting lineup. And I was like, why? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's because they played a game a few days ago. They have another game this weekend. They're trying to get some sort of semblance of fresh legs, but it got to the point where it was men amongst boys. Like the Austin FC team, there was like one or two players on the field above the age of like 23. And like, it's hard to win games like that. Yeah. And then you combine that with like the fact that everyone's exhausted from playing on the road and the emotional high of the home opener. And then you're playing a few days later and you're already thinking about the fact that you have another game at the back end of the schedule. Like, it sounds like I'm making excuses for them. I'm not. Like, this is the reality of both like the nature of the MLS schedule and also any expansion team where you just don't have the numbers to compete at this point. So yeah, like someone needs
Can I read you guys my notes?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I put Jared Stroud, Diego Fagundes, 3 stars. I love those two so much because they're good, but also they work. They're not the type that just kind of stop and go, oh, that was a bad pass, whatever. They work, and I think we could use a little bit more of their effort across the board. Johan Romagna, dude's got a body and he uses it, and I thought he played well.
Yeah.
He uses that body. I thought Aiden Stanley actually played pretty well for a youngster. I thought he had a lot of composure. I put WTH, that should have been a red card. Cecilio got choked that's a red card that I don't understand. That was
broadcast
insane.
team agreed with you.
I don't get why that wouldn't have been that blew my mind. I said we need more composure in the final third. We really do. We need it very badly.
That last point that you put out there was something that Josh Wolf talked about, was just that they've left so many goals on the field.
I think maybe I need to be an assistant coach, because him and I are right there with each other.
Yeah. So I mean, he threw out the stats with it too. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like the expected goals is it's like more than half that are like more than double the actual goals that we have currently, which is sick. I wrote the stat that I remember I texted to you. There's 6 goals through all 9 matches, but the big one is there's only 1 in the last 6 matches. They've only scored 1 time.
I saw a tweet that was like, can you name, without Googling, name the last player that scored for Austin FC? And I was like, I don't know. And I had to look it up. Do either of you know?
Well, Cecilio scored twice. No, he scored 3 times. Diego scored twice. Diego scored twice, and Gallagher scored once. So it's one of those. And
then there's one after that, one after Jon, and it is Cecilio. Yeah, but it was obviously a very long time ago. I think part of it is we're not like getting our heads up and finding people with those crosses. Jared Stroud wants to, our goals are from him hitting it first time across, but we need people making those runs.
Yeah.
The other thing is like sometimes we take too much time and we let the defense catch up to us, and then they shut us down. But here's another thing I want to say to people on Twitter. I need to not look at Twitter when we lose, because people are like, fire everybody.
Yeah,
I was off the team. And I'm like,
I was gonna bring that up.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
People are crazy. I don't get it. I do not understand that. I need to not be on Twitter when Austin FC loses, because the commentary.
Only when they win.
Only when they win, because the commentary when they lose is beyond. Like, I do not understand it.
Yeah, I hear you.
This is not abnormal. Like, you get the same thing with Texas sporting events, and it drives me crazy too, because the solution is always fire everybody.
Fire everybody.
And like, look, you can philosophically disagree with Josh Wolf. You can think that someone else could be doing a better job. Like, that is all fair game. But I will go on the record and say, I don't care if Josh Wolf is the worst coach in soccer history, which I don't think he is. You give him 2 years minimum. Like, holy heck, people, they've played like 9 games, and all of a sudden the sky is falling, and like you can't tell me that you didn't see some of this coming. Like, granted, maybe I like helped with the hype train a little bit too much after the first 3 games when they won 2 in a row.
Guilty.
But like, still, like, we saw this coming.
Okay, so we don't have much time left, but I went to the University of New Mexico. Our football, for some reason, we would bring in coaches, we would keep them for only a couple of years, not even let them see like the people that they were recruiting, and then we would just get rid of them because they weren't doing good and weren't winning games. We would never let them, build it up, get to know the team, whatever. Guess what? New Mexico was ranked almost last in the entire country for like a while. And I think part of it is because you're not giving these people a chance to actually like get to know the team. People are forgetting that we're brand new. We're figuring it out. This is something that is expected. Fans may have been planning for years and years for this to happen, but it's still a new team. There's going to be growing pains, and people on Twitter need to calm down. I'm worried for you. I'm worried for you.
Rome was not built in a day. Twitter was not built for rational thinking. Like those are the two principles that I live my life by. Hey, circling back to something really quick, Brittany, you said you were always like seeing eye to eye with Josh Wolf. I just wanted to make sure this got in there. This is the visual representation.
That's me.
Of you and Josh Wolf.
That's me and Josh Wolf.
It started whenever he started coaching you. He started implementing his
when I was like
his philosophies.
9.
Yeah, when you were just a wee lad, or no, that's lad's boy. What is a girl?
I don't know. A gal.
Gal, just a little gal.
I'm just a little tiny tot.
Just don't tell that to people on Twitter that you and Josh are on the same wavelength. They'll want you fired too.
They'll call for my head immediately. Get Brittany off of KVUE.
Before we get Jon on, I did want to mention that they did have a couple looks in this Minnesota game. Like Poche's look was really good. It just got saved.
Gosh, can we see more of that? I would love to see more of that. When he puts in effort, when he like really wants to do it, he does it. He does the dang thing. But we need more of that.
I'm normally not one to nitpick on body language because I think that like sometimes it's made too big of a deal, but like his body language could improve for sure. Because like that's contagious as well. Like when your when your second highest paid player is like giving 110% effort, like that rubs off on other people. And when it's not, like that has a ripple effect as well. So like when he just plays loose and free and just like lets it ride, I mean, no one's saying he's a bad soccer player.
No.
He's still figuring out the league. Just like, don't put so much pressure on yourself and don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Exactly.
So we will dive way deeper into the match that's coming up this Sunday against the Columbus Crew and all the drama that is, coming with it. But first we are going to welcome in Jon Gallagher, forward for Austin FC. All right, thanks Jon for joining us on the VerdeVUE Pod. I just want to start off right out the gate, and I want to get your take on the first home match, just the atmosphere, the fans, and everything. Just how was it from your perspective?
It was crazy. I mean, it was everything that it lived up towards. I mean, there was a lot of expectation built. We go on the road 8 games and see the stadium being built. I actually lived in the apartment right next to the stadium for like the first 3 or 4 months that I was here in Austin. And so I got to see it like slowly progress towards completion. So it was cool seeing that, that aspect of it. And then, I mean, you see all the buzz on social media, the tickets are sold out and the fans' excitement. And I mean, just walking out of the tunnel and seeing the place packed. I mean, even for warm-ups, we're running out and the place is like over half full. It is crazy. So really enjoyable night. And we're obviously super thankful for the support that the city's shown us.
That apartment complex, that's the Copeland, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I watched the game from, was on top of their 6th floor parking garage, along with like 60 of my closest friends. I have the feeling that that might not be a viewing spot for too long. Hey, but when I right before the game, I wanted to head out to like the outer portion of the stadium just so I could kind of experience the atmosphere, and I came across maybe like 6 or 7 people that were all wearing Gallagher jerseys. So my buddy and I were like, this has to be his family, right? Did you have family in town for this first game?
I did. I saw my mother for the first time in 19 months. Yeah, we've been, because of all the travel restrictions back home and COVID, we've been separated for quite a while. So she actually got to watch the first time she see me play in probably 2.5 years. Yeah. So
how special was that?
Yeah, well, take us through the emotions.
It was amazing. Just seeing her in person. They showed up Friday night. But like they make fun of me because I'm so like switched on close to game time. I'm not like too talkative. I just kind of keep to myself and try to chill out and stay mellow, because obviously you have a lot of nerves going into the game. So like trying to like have that excitement of having my family around, but also like realize that it's time to perform as well, and this is my job. So yeah, I mean it was amazing having her there. My sister got to come along, and then my fiance's whole family was in town. So I think six people all wearing my jersey. So it was probably them, unless I have some secret fan club.
I mean,
you might.
And just so we're clear, I mean, the fans really do like you. Like they love when they see your name in the starting lineup, or they love when they see you coming into the game. But I was just like, okay, like 6 or 7 people all in one group, all wearing his jersey. I'm like, that's probably his family.
That's just the fan club. I mean, but yeah, Jake touched on it. When you came in as a sub, your first game, people were like, oh, this guy needs to be out there more. We need to see his face more. What were your emotions that first game that you came out? Because you came out strong and like you made a difference. We've talked multiple times on this podcast, the subs have to come in and really raise the energy level. What was going through your head at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's just obviously you want to start every game, but if you don't, you got to realize that 90 minutes is a long time to play a game of soccer. Not everyone can last that, so you're going to have to come in and make an impact. So the game, I think we're 1-0 down, and I was like, okay, like this is my time to rise the occasion. And unfortunately, we didn't win that game, but I thought I put in a good performance, and kind of that I had that role for the first few games as almost like the super sub, the change of pace, come in, bring some energy, make it tough for the defenders. But it was always always my goal to work towards, more consistent playing time, starting, being a main guy in that front three. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be opportunities throughout the season where there's injuries or you just taking, off good performances. So.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said, you have, over the season become more of a focal point in terms of minutes played. You started aside from this last game on Wednesday, started the 3 games before that and played more significant minutes. And then even in the home opener, you were everywhere. It's like it seemed like you were like always creating plays or almost scoring a goal. Can you just give us a rundown of how would you assess your performance in the home opener? Because I mean, you were flying around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, if I'm brutally honest with myself, I thought I had a strong performance up until the final ball. It seemed that a consistent theme for myself and maybe some others, we just kind of can't get that final play. I thought I did everything right. I thought I had the beating of my defender most times in our 1v1 situations, which is, it's obviously your job as a winger to be dangerous and create attacks. It's just that final ball we couldn't seem to get right as a group and as an 11. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I played amazing, because I don't think I did, but I thought I was dangerous and definitely, creating impact up top. But I was still pretty frustrated. I think it's hard because you get off the field and your family's like, "You're amazing."
Yeah.
I was like, and I probably should have had a goal or an assist in the game. So that alone, I was pretty bitter after the game. But yeah, I had to put a smile on my face and be happy because family was in town. So.
Yeah. Quick follow up to that. It's like when you got subbed on for at the end of that game, you took a long walk around to the bench. Was that were you like frustrated with yourself, or were you just like, okay, I'm gassed? Like what was that situation like as you were walking back to the bench?
So awkward. They're just like, I want to thank the fans and clap them, but like I had to do it for like 2 minutes.
A long time.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that, like you got subbed off and you had to take that long walk all the way around. I was just curious, like what that was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was really tired too. The heat is crazy and
yeah.
So I think like the last 2 minutes before I came off, I was kind of signaling to the bench because both my calves were like simultaneously just like on the cramp. So I was like trying to thank the fans and low key trying not to cramp mid. So,
understandable.
Yeah.
Hey, that segs perfectly into this. So after that home opener, you guys then turn around and have another road trip just like a few days later. And I'm sure in the back of everyone's heads, and then we have another game on Sunday that's probably going to be super high emotionally with Columbus in town. I'm not trying to make excuses for you guys. I don't think any of you guys are trying to make excuses either. That's just the reality. So what's the mood like? What is the atmosphere like right now just amongst this team, knowing that like this is probably like the after effects of a very difficult road trip, and knowing that like, hey, we kind of got to get this thing together before it unravels.
Yeah, I mean, there's obvious frustration. Last night was pretty disappointing for the group, and wasn't the result that we wanted. It's probably a result that we deserved based on how we played. We just didn't show up. But the beauty of soccer is that there's always another game, and thankfully we get to come back and change that this Sunday. Now, I don't know if a lot of the guys are. I think they're aware of obviously how big the game against Columbus is, but it seems to be more of like a one-sided rivalry in terms of their fans. It seems that their fans are kind of like bitter, and our fans are like, okay.
I get that sense as well.
That's literally okay. So I'm in a group meet of Austin FC fans, and that's literally their thing. Is that they're like, okay, so the crew fans are just so mad, and we'll just, if we see somebody bitter, we'll just, I guess, buy them a beer or something. Like they're like, sorry, you're so bitter about it. I think you're right on that.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's, you don't blame them when you see like how everything is going here in terms of the franchise and the buzz and the excitement and the support. Like, there's a lot for teams to be jealous of, and that's okay. We'll put that target on our back, and that's fine.
I like
Great.
that.
Love it. All right. So I quickly wanted to, before we get to Brittany's rapid fire questions, I just wanted you to kind of wrap up your journey, to get here. So it's like you're from Ireland, you go to Notre Dame, play for Atlanta, go back overseas, come here. Just like what has it been like for you to have all these different stops, and what is the most memorable moments for you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, we probably don't have enough time in the podcast to talk about like my whole journey.
That's fine. I got all the time in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in 5 different countries up until the age of 18. My dad's job has moving around quite a bit, and then soccer kind of brought me to certain places too. So up until I was 18, I was in like something crazy, like 12 different schools. When we counted them all together, 3 different high schools. I lived in Jamaica, I lived in America, I lived in Singapore, then I moved to England, and then I moved back to America, and then I went to Scotland to play professionally. So I've been everywhere. But yeah, I mean, getting to Notre Dame, I was over in England from the age of 15 by myself. An academy, I got let go and told that I wasn't going to make it as a professional, and I thought, that's kind of crazy considering I'm only 17. How can you tell me that?
Yeah.
Back home, it's either you go school direction or you go keep trying to play. My dad suggested, why don't you go to America? We could do both. You can get a degree, which was obviously really important. I promised my dad that I would finish my education and could also pursue professional sports. So what better route than coming to play, Division I soccer in America. And I was really fortunate to land at an amazing school, had an amazing 3.5 years. And then, I ended up getting lucky and making it to the pros through a little bit of hard work too.
Have you called the person that told you would never go pro and just to say, hey, I went pro?
No, because he's also the guy that quote unquote scouted Wayne Rooney. So I don't know if that was something he told me in the meeting too, as if like justify his
decision.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, but so I just whatever.
Hey, the most poetic part about this story, though, is you were born in Ireland and then you go to Notre Dame and play for the Fighting Irish. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. They're like, "Oh, did you do that on purpose?" It's like, no, I didn't.
Hey,
go ahead.
Before we get to Brittany's rapid fire, I just had one thing really quick. So I thought it was funny because in the Meet the Team TikTok that the Twitter account put out into the world but before the season officially started, I want to say, you're there just like mowing your lawn. Is the significance behind that like you're the only one who is old enough to own a home on the team, or like how does that come about?
No, I thought it was funny. I'm 25, which is still pretty young, but like I think like I'm quite an old soul in how I like, I don't go out. I like to spend time with my family and my dog. I'm pretty low key. I always seem to be friendlier with the older guys in the team. So like last year in Atlanta, I was really close with Jeff Lorenowitz, who's 38. And this year, like my best friend's Matt Beasler. He's 3 kids and he's 34 years old. Not old, but like those are my friends on the team. Peyton was like, "Oh, why don't you do something?" My fiance was like, "Why don't you do something like kind of like a dad type thing? I don't have kids." So that day, I actually went to Home Depot. It's funny. I like got a gift card in the mail for 15% off, and I was at Home Depot at like 7:59 for the door open at 8 and bought a new lawnmower. So I was super proud of it.
That's
really good.
Yeah,
that's so funny to me.
There's a little backstory behind it. I definitely was like, "Oh, you should do a dad thing." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna show off my new lawnmower."
Like were they? Because I've heard stories of these TikToks where people just text their friends and they say, "Hey, send me a video of you doing something." Is that how this worked? And then everybody sent a video of them doing something, and you were like, "Let me show off this really great lawnmower."
Yeah, this is my time to show my true personality.
And it's mowing the lawn.
Hey, John, really quick. I am exactly 1 year older than you. We have the same birthdays, February 23rd. So I'm 26, you're 25. I can safely say that I have not woken up at 7:59 in the morning in a long time. So you are already like on a much more productive track than I am when it comes to adulthood.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get up naturally because I have a yellow lab, and he's literally, you can see him digging a hole in the back fence. So he's usually awake at like 6:15, 6:30, so I don't have much of a choice. So
that
dogs
dog
do that.
He's a dog dad.
Yeah, that's my first child.
There you go. All right, Brittany.
Okay.
The hardest questions you'll be asked all day.
That's mine. She sits in a rocking chair. Okay, are you ready for a rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Here we go. What sport would you play if you didn't play soccer?
This is supposed to be rapid fire. Rugby.
Oh, okay. What should people get yellow and red cards for in real life?
Being messy and being late, my 2 pet peeves.
Ooh, being late. That's one of my pet peeves for sure. Okay. Do you have a game day routine?
Yes, like down to every minute of the day.
What is it?
Can we hear it?
I mean, yeah, I'm very, very methodical and not like superstitious, but like I have a routine. I'm a man of routine. I like to wake up at a certain time, eat the same meals, shower, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm pretty, like I keep everything set, and that way I'm good to go. If I miss anything, I'm freaking out.
What are those meals?
I'll wake up and have like a bowl of Weetabix. I don't know if you guys have that. You have to find it in like the British section of the grocery.
Weetabix.
Or you can buy it on Amazon. So I have like 3 boxes up there. And
do they have it at HEB?
They do, yeah, in the international section.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's like $26 for about a thing of cereal, but No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just pricey. It's pricey because it's got to be,
Yeah.
imported from. But have that with some oatmeal, and then I have a protein bar, a smoothie, turkey sandwich, and then my pre-game meal is always like chicken and sweet potato or chicken and pasta, depending on how crazy I want to get.
Has Diego tried to get you on the mate?
No, that's not, I don't consume caffeine, so I'm like I'm naturally like very high strung and energetic, so I don't need it.
You seem like an extremely calm person to me.
Yeah.
Like you seem very laid back.
I am, but like up here, there's a lot going on. No, I don't need to. I also go to sleep at like 9 o'clock, so I don't need to be drinking caffeine. It keeps me.
You are an old soul.
I told you.
Okay, back to this.
We derailed your rapid fire. Sorry, keep going.
Get out of here. Okay, who's the funniest person on the team?
Funniest person, Aaron Schoenfeld.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Who's the best dressed on the team?
Cecilio or Julio has some good style too. Yeah.
They looked great this past weekend. You looked great and you're all black. I love it. All black is a go-to. It will work every time. What is if you're thrown into a dance circle, we know you don't go out, but let's say your fiance throws you into a dance circle of your family. What's your go-to dance move?
I'm stiffer than a tin man. I'm like, I'm not moving.
Yeah, but the Tin Man still dances in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I'm awkwardly doing something that's gonna be really embarrassing.
Okay. What is your most used emoji?
Probably the laughing face or the heart.
He is an old soul because Gen Z people would say that's not allowed.
Why?
Yeah.
They say that the laughing face is out. You're supposed to use the skull, apparently. But I use the laughing face too, but also I'm 30, so.
I also use the laughing face.
The skull's pretty negative and.
Like, you're like, dead.
I'm dead, ha ha.
I laughed so hard, now I'm dead, apparently. Yeah, whatever, let's ignore these young people. Okay, when is the last time you took a selfie?
Oh, probably like 7 years ago.
Man, I like it, John. Okay.
I take selfie videos sometimes for like the team, but I always get made fun of by my family because I'm so like, I always give a thumbs up at the end and they make fun of me for that. So like all my group chats with friends and stuff are literally my face doing this at the end of every video.
You need to clip all those together and post them. I love it. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I don't know. I think last time I did Party in the USA.
Ooh,
That's a solid.
Good song.
That's a solid song.
That is a good choice. Do you have any hidden talents?
No.
Other than being punctual.
Buying lawnmowers at Home Depot at 8 in the morning.
Any hidden talent? No, right? I'm pretty freaking boring.
Wait, is your fiance there?
Yeah, she just came in the room. She's like,
tell her we said hello. Hi.
Hello.
What do you wish people knew about professional athletes?
That we're humans, just like them.
That's a good point.
I'll add to that. When you're a professional athlete, you can buy $26 cereal. It ain't no thing.
It's like $4 to $5. You know, it's like
more expensive than it should be. Yeah.
Bougie cereal.
Okay, last question. In your best Matthew McConaughey impression, will you please say, all right, all right, all right?
All right, all right, all right.
Pretty good.
Solid.
Yeah.
Claps all around.
John, thank you so much for doing this.
We appreciate you.
We will end by giving you one of these.
Oh.
Have a good one.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for
Thanks,
sure.
John.
All right. So we enjoyed the heck out of that conversation with Jon Gallagher. We talked to him off camera. It is Gallagher, not Gallagher. Any broadcast team that gets it wrong, we're going to tweet at you and correct you. So,
and that's a promise that we made to Jon.
We promised we would correct people and make sure they say his name right.
You think that's like an Irish thing? The G silent?
I don't know.
In America, it's Gallagher. I don't know.
Should ask him that, but we didn't. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, he said he had just given up, and we said, we do not give up. Not here on this podcast.
Yeah.
No. Where trust is earned.
There you go. Boom. So moving forward to the game that's about to come up, Austin FC versus Columbus Crew. There's a lot of drama centered around this match. And like Jon mentioned, it seems to be very one-sided on Columbus's side. They seem to be not very happy with Austin FC's owner, Anthony Precourt, who just so happens to be their previous owner. We will not get into the nitty-gritty details of the drama, but if you want, there is an old special report on KVUE.com that does get into the nitty-gritty. There's an interactive timeline on it. It has to do with all the city council stuff that went down in Columbus and in Austin back in 2018 back then. But I spent a lot of time on that. There's an interactive timeline in there. You can dive into that if you so wish. But fast forwarding to now, there was a prop plane that was flown above Q2 Stadium. And Jake was the one that noticed it, and he had a very funny tweet surrounding this. So I'll give the floor.
Yeah, it's so the plane that was flying overhead had a banner attached to it, and it said Precourt is a snake. And like, that's kind of funny because like on the one hand, like, I do understand why Columbus fans would be upset.
Yeah.
Their owner literally tried to take their team away from them and leave them without a Major League Soccer team. Now, like, maybe in some major cities, that wouldn't be the end of the world. But Columbus is a lot like Austin in that it's a market that is defined by college sports, and the people really want pro sports there. So, like, on the one hand, I get it. On the other hand, you can't say that Austin is our younger child and say that, like, we don't care about this rivalry. This isn't a rivalry, which they try and shoot it down at every moment they can, and then do something like that. Because, like, as I said in the tweet, it's not just that Austin is living rent-free inside their heads. It's that they are literally paying money for a banner to be flown above the stadium on the home opener. And do I have that verified and confirmed that it was actually a Columbus person who did that? No, but like, who else would do that? Like, I'll put 2 and 2 together and say that was 95% chance a Columbus Crew person still upset with Anthony Precourt who did that. So, like, you can't have it both ways. If you want to hate Austin, like, you have every right to hate Austin, but then, like, join me in this toxic rivalry. Don't sit over here and say there's no rivalry. Fair?
There's clearly a rivalry there. At least on, like, I think so.
At least on the Columbus side.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Austin, like, I don't think anyone really here cares that much, except for me, just because, like, I want a rivalry and I want I want a spectacle. But, like, who's to say that couldn't be any other team?
Well, like, they won the MLS Cup, so.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, why are you concerning your time with an expansion franchise when you guys are really good?
And the defending champs. We talked to Sebastian Berhalter about this, and he played for them last year, and he was very candid in the fact of saying, like, yeah, I think that this is going to be a big deal, or it's going to be a big rivalry. And, like, the Columbus fans hate the Austin team and fan base, which by all accounts to this point seems to be very true. So But Columbus Crew comes into town. They actually just lost their last match to the Philadelphia Union 1-0. Prior to that, they were on a 3-game winning streak. So, but I mean, you lose games every now and again. Did the fact that they just lost a game going to change how they come into this one? Probably not. They're still a very, very, very good team. Like Brittany said, they're the defending champions. So I think, who do you think that there's more pressure on Austin just because of the fact that they're winless in the past 7 games, or on Columbus because of the fake hype that they're trying to throw on this whole thing?
Austin. But maybe that's, I don't know. I mean, I think Adrian Healy kind of pointed out that how important the fans are going to be. Also, I mean, we're coming off of what just happened Wednesday.
Yeah.
It was rough. We have injuries. We are having a hard time finishing. The fans want a goal. The whole team wants a goal. It's going to be loud. And obviously there is this maybe rivalry, maybe not rivalry. But Jake almost said it earlier. We just really need that first goal on Sunday to be Austin.
Yeah, and not, yeah, look at her.
She wants out.
She wants out.
Actively trying to open that door. Should take a page out of Anderson .Paak and Silk Sonic and leave the door open.
Oh, now that's a good song.
It's a great song. I love that song so much. Bruno Mars. Yeah, great. Anyways, back to the point at hand. I did say that. I don't say that I almost said that. I did say you don't want Columbus to be the first team to score the first goal in Q2 Stadium.
Men's team.
Men's team,
yeah,
correct.
The first MLS scored goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you imagine if Columbus were to score the first goal, like how loud their fans would be on Twitter if Columbus Crew scored the first goal in Q2 Stadium? Like it would. See, Brittany's just
Then
like,
we're really gonna avoid Twitter.
insufferable.
Good night. That's the theme of today is just Twitter. No, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think looking at it in the long term, they have their they finally get to be home for a while now, for a month's time. So they have 4 matches in a row to kind of turn this thing around. Starting with obviously Columbus, but I mean, there's going to be Seattle's coming to town soon. So I mean, that's going to be another huge game.
Yeah, we got some hard games ahead of us.
But I mean, the biggest storyline that I think I'm looking forward to is that aside from scoring the first goal is just finding a way to score goals.
Yeah.
That's just the biggest thing. And then obviously, can Brad Stuber stay being Brad Stuber? Because if they do those 2 things, they could be pretty dangerous, I think.
Summer transfer window is fast approaching. I want to say the date is July 7th, maybe. I know Chris Bills of the Striker has been tweeting out potential names. He knows a lot about, potential targets, a lot more than I will claim to.
Also a fan of the program. He told me in person, so shout out Chris.
Shout out Chris Bills. I'll say this though, because here's what I do know. All the money that is not spent on players is essentially money in the pocket of the owner. And when you have among the lowest payroll in the MLS, and you have an opportunity to pay someone a lot of money who's really good, do it. Like, please do it. Don't be the Tampa Bay Rays or the Oakland A's of MLS. Spend money, make your fans happy. There is a glaring weakness. Please bring in someone who, it doesn't have to be a big name, but like at least spend money on someone who is going to score goals, please.
That seems to be it's on definitely Josh Wolf and Claudio Reyna's radar. He's mentioned in the past couple media availabilities that is something that they're, looking to do, which is to find someone with the ability to finish and take that number 9 spot and really get creative in the final third.
We need it.
You need it. All right. Well, anything else before we skedaddle on out of here?
Christian Pulisic was at Q2.
Oh, it was the who's who of sports and entertainment at Q2.
Dang.
Yeah.
Jimmy Conrad?
I'll be completely honest. When I saw that his cousin was signed by Austin FC, I did like a double take. I'm like, I don't think that's the right Pulisic, but I need to like make sure that it's not the transcendent talent Pulisic. But yeah, it's cool. It was cool to have him there. I mean, Greg Berhalter was also there.
Gio Reyna?
All of us were there.
Oh, we were there.
Reyna. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were there too.
I would not classify us as that level, but yes, we were there.
What are you talking about? We're that level.
We got blue checks.
Sure do.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
On that
note, follow us on Twitter.
On Twitter, it'll be on the screen at Jake
But don't
_
tweet dumb
M.
things at us.
Yeah. Control yourselves, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Fire flowers.
Hashtag fire flowers.
Hashtag fire
Spread it
flowers.
around.
At BFlowers TV. And then you got I don't know if you'll be over here, Jake. At Jake _ M _ Garcia. And then of course there's me at I Am Living Good. So you can follow all of us, or you can follow this podcast by watching on KVUE's YouTube page, and you can get all of your Austin FC content by going to kvue.com/AustinFC, or you can text the word soccer to 512-459-9442, and you will get a link to the schedule, the link to this podcast, and all of your other Austin FC news and needs. Or you can just text Brittany and she'll reply with,
yes, please.
there you go. That does it for the latest episode of the VerdeVUE Pod. Catch y'all next week.
That hour worth of talking was some of our best stuff yet.
Oh yeah. So, but
Rome wasn't built in a day. And what was the second part?
And Twitter was built for rational thinking. And I literally just came up with that right now. I mean, obviously the Rome wasn't.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
That's great.
I think John is trying to join the call.
Okay.
You see him in the waiting room, Paul?
I do not. When it pops up, it like shows a little thing that says admit. So whenever he gets in or whatever, because whenever Mauricio came in, it was at the top and it said I would admit them.
There's John.
There's John.
Roy's going to pull a merit and get big, but June's going to stay small forever. So
You're like, oh, she's cute.
I win.
Oh no, he went away.
John's gone.
He said, I don't really dig this podcast.
There you go. Sit in your chair. Sit in your chair.
I'm not really here for it. All right, let's readmit him. There he is again. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hey, John, here's the first question. Have you ever used Zoom before?
Dang. Just coming so hot.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I really am.
Oh, goodness.
Hostile podcast. I think I'm gonna hang up.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man.